places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 down. Sympathy.
Warren, good to have you back on board, my friend.
Thank you.
Love your shirt, proper 1971 shirt.
Yeah.
How you doing, mate? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks, Jess. I'm all right. I'm looking forward to doing this with you. Should be interesting.
I'm looking forward to this one. I won't deny it. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to get deep into your Arsenal journey.
Mhm.
What made you a fan and everything thereabouts. What you love about the club, what you hate about the club, and all that, really.
Yeah.
So, mate, why did you support Arsenal?
Why? Right. Okay. So it all started when I was about 3.5, 4 years old, I suppose. In my bedroom, I had this chart thing on the wall, and it had all 4 divisions on it, right? And you used to get each team had like a little sticker with like a Sputio figure on it of each team in their kit. And you used to, each week, you used to be able to move them up and down the ladder to correspond with where they were in the league, right? Now, I remember one occasion I was doing this, and my dad came in the room and he was chatting to me about it. And he said, listen, if you want to pick a team, I'll take you to go and watch them, right? He said, but make sure it's a London side.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why, Jez, I just picked Arsenal. I suppose that time, being about 71, 72, I suppose, Arsenal would have just won the double. That's what I'm thinking back. And you know what kids are like? Like, even back then, kids would want to follow the winning team. It's just the way kids are. So he took me, and he was an Arsenal man anyway, because when he came down from Scotland, he got taken to Highbury by one of his mates to a game in the run-up to the 71 league title win. I think it was maybe Coventry or Burnley at home, and they won 1-0 in the 71 season. And him and his mate were saying to each other on the way, because Arsenal were a bit behind Leeds.
Oh, yeah, were they?
Yeah, and they hauled it back. And they were saying to each other how Arsenal were going to win the title that year. And they did. So, yeah, he took me. First game was 1972, September, against Liverpool at Highbury. We was in the clock end. And from what I can remember, I don't think there was any segregation then. Because I remember my dad was laughing and joking with a load of supporters, and I've got a feeling they were Liverpool fans. I don't know why. The game, as I remember, was a 0-0 draw. And the big thing that sticks out in my memory about it was that Jimmy Hill ended up having to run the line.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the classic.
Because the linesman got injured in the warm-up, and if he hadn't have been available, they would have had to have postponed the game, apparently, because you can't have a match without officials who are authorised by the Football Association, I believe. So, yeah, that was my first game. I remember seeing this, I think it was in the 76 season when Jimmy Rimmer was playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we got tanked 4-1 at home by Ipswich Town, and we were really.
Warren, that's an interesting point you brought up there, mate. 'Cause there's a lot of people who've never heard of Jimmy Rimmer,
Yeah,
and he went on to be a great goalkeeper at Man United.
that's right. But I remember him as Willie Young's debut, right? And Willie Young had an absolute nightmare on his debut, and the North Bank were getting on his back. And he turned round to the North Bank and he was just telling them to shut up. And he had a really loud voice. You know, you could hear him shouting at the North Bank, shut up, stop it, guys. And yeah, we got tanked 4-1. And our Arsenal were like really struggling down the bottom of the table at the time, if I remember rightly.
76, yeah, bad, yeah.
There was a newspaper heading like around that time. I don't know if it was before or after. And it said something, Arsenal cannot beat a team of dustbins. I don't know if you remember it.
No, I don't remember that, to be honest. I won't.
But I remember my dad saying, I said to my dad, how long is this going to go on for? Because it was every week they were getting beat and whatnot. And he said, they won't allow it to go on much further. They're not going to allow the team to get relegated.
No. Was that was the end of Bertie Mee, wasn't it? And Terry.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long time ago, Jez, so the memories are a bit fuzzy, but I do remember that game in particular because one of the Ipswich players lobbed Jimmy Rimmer. And he did it. He kept in the warm-up before the game. He was practicing doing it. And we were stood up on the North Bank in sort of this corner. So when you go into the North Bank, we were to the left of that picture behind me, right up in the corner. Yeah. So yeah, it was. So that's all started, really.
So it's a bit of a journey. Big up Luna Matata. Big up Jez Warren, Gooners and Chat. Big up to you, my friend. So that started your journey with the Arsenal. Mate, what is in your memory and you've been an Arsenal fan a long time, damn near as long as me as well. What's your most favourite game?
There's two that spring to mind. One of them's a home game. No, both of them are away games, actually. I'll go with the second one, my second one in the list first. First one I'm going to say is 1987 League Cups semi-final replay at Spurs. Right? I don't know if you were there that night, Jez.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I was there, and I remember it well. We were 1-0 down with about 10 minutes to go. Charlie Nicholas gets carried off, and I was thinking, no, that's it. We've gone. It's gone. Then the Spurs PA announcer comes on the PA system saying, this is how the Spurs fans can get their tickets for Wembley. And I just think it was the most stupid, ridiculous thing to do. And I think it really inspired the players. And Ian Allinson scored the first one to when we equalised. And then Rocky danced through their defence and slotted in the winner. And it was the first time in that semi-final we'd been in front, I think, if my memory serves me well. And then, obviously, the number one for me is Anfield 89, up at Anfield.
The amount of people say that game is incredible.
But there's a third one, which was that same season away at Anfield where I went. It was that League Cup match when we drew 1-0. And we absolutely destroyed them. How we didn't win that game 4 or 5-1. It's just it was an unbelievable performance. I think Rocky scored, and And John Barnes scored a good goal in that game as well to give him the lead. And we come back. Rocky equalised, smashed it in from outside the box. But Alan Smith, in my opinion, had a perfectly good goal disallowed. He went up with the keeper, and there was a Liverpool player between Alan Smith and the Liverpool goalkeeper, and he got done for a foul on the keeper. And he headed the ball in. I still don't know how. It was George Courtney, how he disallowed that goal. He did. I don't think he really liked us that much, to be honest.
Yeah, God, that's a memory from the past, that referee.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I do. Yeah, wow. BB David says, hang on, is that on an intro on Warren's channel with Liam Brady? Scoring a left-footed shot in the top corner. No, that's Tottenham, mate. That was Tottenham 5-0. 23rd of December, 1978. I remember it very well. 5-0. We won that game just before Christmas. That was some game and a half, that was. Right, mate. Your best Arsenal goal?
That one that we just talked about.
That one, okay.
Yeah, Liam Brady's goal in 78. I remember it, watching it on Match of the Day, and I remember getting really angry when he didn't win goal of the season on Match of the Day. He didn't even get in the top 5.
No, yeah, I get that. But okay, we'll move on from that one. Your favourite ever cup game? It can be any cup, FA League, Europe. Your favourite cup game?
I'd have to think. I was going to say the 79 Cup final, but I'm going to go for the 87 one because I wasn't at the 79 one. I was at the 87 one, though. And the fact that makes it even more special for me is the fact that Ian Rush scored. And whenever he scored for Liverpool. Whenever he scored, Liverpool never lost. And we come back and beat them.
You're talking about the League Cup?
Yeah, the League Cup in 1987. We beat them 2-1.
Yeah, Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah, he got 2. So, yeah, that one, it was just... it was a great experience for me because I'd never seen Arsenal win a trophy when I'd been at the match. I went in 1980 and we got turned over by West Ham. That was horrible. It was.
FA Cup.
Yeah. 1980 FA Cup final. It was horrible. Yeah, with the header.
First time a Division 2 team is beating a Division 1 team in the FA Cup. There you go.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Another record for Arsenal. But hey, there you go. Yeah, that's a good shout. Right, mate, this one. Best cup final you can remember.
Well, I was going to say the one I've just mentioned, but I'm going to just make it just to say something different. I'm going to go for the Cup Winners' Cup final against Parma.
Copenhagen, yeah.
Yeah. Because we were massive underdogs. And they had a fantastic team. And we just dug in, and Alan Smith scored an absolute screamer. And it was just amazing. Absolutely incredible. I remember, I think I was watching the game around my mate's house and I just went nuts. I'm sure he had complaints from the neighbours about the noise. Because I still do struggle to contain my emotions when I'm watching football.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, I really do.
You know, I've done watch-longs last season. This season had Meltdown. But yeah, I get you on that one. I mean, that's the only ever European Cup final I've ever been to. But that's a lie. I did go to the return leg of the Fairs Cup when we beat Anderlecht to win the trophy 3-1.
Mhm.
I did that was in 1970. I did go to, but actually going to Parma in Copenhagen was quite something. It was a tricky time because there was a lot of trouble at that game outside the ground. But yeah, Jason says double unskippable. Big up to Kyle and big up to Warren as well. Kyle Walker, Aces, thank you, brother, much appreciated. Jason, big up, bro, says Kyle. Yeah. And what a team Parma had, AFC. They did have a great team. But okay, mate. Big question here. This make you think, this one. Your favourite Arsenal player?
Liam Brady.
Oh, too easy.
Yeah, that Shadow. I think I'm going to say something really controversial now, Jez. I think he's Arsenal's greatest ever. The reason I'm saying that, I'm going to explain why. Right? I know people are going to say Bergkamp and Henry and whatnot and Vieira, and they were absolutely superb players. But the difference with Chippy was that they were playing in a team of world-class players. The players he was playing with, there were maybe 2 or 3 other world-class players in the team with him. The rest of them were good players, but they weren't world-class. Do you know what I mean? And the game was a lot more physical and whatnot when he was playing, and he would drag us through games. Sometimes he would drag us through games almost on his own. One game that sticks in the mind is that away game at Swindon in the League Cup when we lost, although we lost 4-3, if it hadn't have been for him, it wouldn't even have gone to extra time. I think he scored 2 goals, I think, in that game. But yeah, and that leads me on to another point, because that whole business with him and that banner at the Emirates really, really annoyed me. And I ended up getting on to isn't an MP over it, and he pulled up Arsenal and had a go at them. And
quite
he
right.
made them change it.
Disgrace.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. You just can't do that to people. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's Arsenal Football Club now, mate. Now, I actually learned a lesson 6, 7, 8 months ago. I can't remember now. I didn't actually know. You may know the answer. And I found out this. Somebody actually informed me why he was called Chippy. Right? Because I actually thought, in my naivety, it was because he was very clever in chipping goalkeepers.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought he called him Chippy. But it wasn't, was it? That's not the reason, is it?
No, it's because he likes chips.
Yeah, fish and chips after the game. I honestly, Warren, I did not know the answer. I did not know that. And this guy told me that, Irish fella. And I thought, well, thank you for informing me, because I actually I didn't know the answer.
I've got another story for you about him. His brother used to have a pub in the town I live in, right? Okay. And he had a real bad temper. He used to play. I think he played for Millwall and Spurs, his brother, and he wasn't like Chippy. He was a bit more like Roy Keane, like very aggressive, and yeah. And his son used to go to school with me, and he was like his dad. And so I've been in that pub a few times, and I've seen him losing it with punters.
Yeah, well, that's the way they are, mate.
Yeah.
Irving says, I watched this morning Arsenal winning the league at Anfield in '89. Full match is on YouTube. Yes, it is. You can. I've got the whole game recorded on Sky, actually. But okay, mate, that's a nice answer. Right, this one. Your best non-Arsenal player. Any player anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter where.
I'm going to give you the same answer as Kyle did. Diego Maradona. I absolutely loved the player. For me, what he did in that 1986 World Cup, like practically all the way through the tournament, he dragged that team by the scruff of the neck through that tournament. It wasn't a very good Argentinian team, but he just dragged it through, like scoring all the time. And
cheat though, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, and he's admitted it. And the way he talks about it, he just said, I remember him talking to Gary Lineker, he said, listen, it was just me having a bit of fun like I would if I was in a park with my mates. And the other thing I heard about him was a nice story. When he went to Napoli, there was some kid who was very seriously unwell. And they were having a charity match for him. And someone had contacted Diego and asked him to come along. And Napoli said to him, no, you can't go. And he said, well, I'm going. That's the end of it. And he went and played in this charity match. So fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's a really nice thing to do. So,
I get that. I just can't forgive him for what he did. Personally, my personal opinion. All right, mate. Your favourite away ground?
That's a tricky one. I think I'm going to have to say Anfield.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying I nearly plumped for Spurs. The reason I nearly plumped for Spurs because I never saw Arsenal lose there, right? But I'm going for Anfield because of that performance I saw up at Anfield in that League Cup match. I absolutely loved it. It was just one of the best performances I've ever seen Arsenal put in. And the noise that the fans were making and whatnot, I don't think I'll ever forget it, Jez. It was just unbelievable.
Did you go to that game? I didn't know you did.
I went not to the League Championship when I'm talking about the League Cup match the same season.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
No, I never went to 80. I'm not one of these that goes on there with Anfield 89 because I wasn't.
The 50,000 that were there, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then they can't tell you where they was. I'm not even going to go into that one.
No.
I'm not going to get into that. Right. Yeah, I'll get that. I mean, for me, it's Newcastle all day long. But yeah, that's.
I've been to Newcastle, but not to watch Arsenal. I was there to watch a game against Middlesbrough, and their fans are just unbelievable. Middlesbrough took the lead, and then they equalised. And the noise, it was just like all the way around the ground. They were all up singing. I don't know if it was because it was a derby match.
They don't stop anyway. All the games I've ever been to at Newcastle, they don't stop shouting and singing anyway. They're just like relentless.
No, they're lovely people as well, Jez. I like Newcastle.
That's the whole point. That's what I've said many a time. Going there is such a good time anyway. You know, you can have a great night out. It's one of them things. Right. Okay. Best away game scene you've seen. The best away game you've seen. Any competition?
I'm just thinking. Probably I'll have to go with that Liverpool match at the League Cup again. Nearly plumped for the Sheffield Wednesday one, where we won 1-0 in the League Cup. I think it's about I think it was the year before we won the League Cup.
What about the Inter Milan game in the European Cup? We won 5-1.
The what? Sorry. Oh yeah, but I'm going on about ones I was at. If you're gonna,
no, it can be any game you want to be. Any game. You haven't got to be there.
Probably the Villarreal game where we drew 1-1. I was in a pub, in a bar in Quincy Market in Boston. Right, was over in Boston on holiday, and there was in the bar with these two Northerners. Right, this guy and his wife. They were supporting Arsenal, which I found a bit odd because back in the day, you probably remember, Jess, we were hated all over the world, all over the country, except for London. But we were watching the game, and when Jens Lehmann saved that penalty, I remember going absolutely bonkers. I'm sure they probably heard me halfway up the market because it was an enclosed market. Right. Have you ever been to Quincy Market?
No.
Right, okay. So it's an enclosed, it's a bit like Lakeside, where it's just like one really long thing. And each side, they've got all these different foods from all over the world that you can order and stuff like that. Anyway, there was a bar at one end, and I'm sure they pretty much heard me all the way up the market. And this barman was just looking at me like I was crazy. He wasn't happy at all.
Why not?
Exactly, but I went crazy, Jez.
Why not?
Yeah,
that's what it's about, man. All right, your best Premier League manager.
It really pains me to say this because I can't stand the fella. I think he's a cheat. I hate him with a passion. So Alex Ferguson.
Good manager, though.
The way he manipulated the FA, intimidated referees. That game in October 2004 when United kicked us off the park. How they never got 4 players sent off in that game, it's just beyond me. It really is. And I still get really angry now when I watch it. The treatment that they dished out to Reyes, because I think he was never the same after that. And I think it was all down to him. I'm sure that he sent them out to do that. Because I've seen him do it at Aberdeen as well. I remember hearing stories about they played Celtic once at Parkhead, and a Celtic fan ran on the pitch and attacked Gordon Strachan because of this carry on. And it's just the way he is. He just sets his team like it's us against the world and all this carry on, which can help motivate people, but not to the point where you're like going out on the pitch and kicking lumps out of people. I just think it's wrong. And I just can't stand the bloke, mate. But you can't argue with the success he had. He's a serial trophy winner.
No, I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, Aberdeen, Man United, is what it is.
But he was nearly got the Arsenal job, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, there was going to be. He was in the run-in for the Arsenal job when George got it, and George was going to be his assistant.
Don't know that one.
Yeah, but then something happened, and that was it. He had to take on the Scotland job where Jock Stein died, and he did that. And Arsenal didn't want him doing the Scotland job part-time, and he withdrew. So they went for George.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've learned something today. Thank you very much indeed for that. Joe says, any news on Saka? Apparently it's a hamstring twinge. What that means, who knows? We will find out very soon. But you never know. BBB Davis says, well done, Jens, of course. A Guna Matter, Alex retired when what we won since, no joke, it's madness. Yeah, well, there we go. So that's a whole nother discussion. Mate, your best Arsenal defender.
So toss up between David O'Leary and Tony Adams, but I'm going to go Big Tone.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
It was immense, Jez. The way he marshalled the defence. And I remember him coming into the team, and I remember how David O'Leary and Viv Anderson used to like bring him through games. They were constantly talking to him, and it was great to see. And he just blossomed into an incredible defender. I think he's the best defender ever in the Premier League, to be quite frank.
There's a player a lot of people don't talk about, Viv Anderson.
He helped bring him on, because I remember, I don't know if you used to hear it, but you'd hear them shouting clean sheet at him all the time. You know, and when I was a kid, before Tony Adams came in the team, every week you'd see David O'Leary and marshalling that back four, shouting instructions and whatnot. So that's why I nearly plumped for him, because he was very good at organising the rest of the defence. But yeah, I'm going to go for Tony.
I agree. I went for him as well. I think everybody's gone for Tony Adams, Mr. Arsenal.
Yeah.
Guna Matter says, question for Warren. Did you ever think we'd end up like we have as we stand?
Oh dear. No, in a word. I was very concerned, I have to say, when I heard comments that Stan Kroenke come out with when he bought the club, saying I didn't buy the club to win trophies. I still can't get my head around that. I think it's an absolutely disgusting thing to say. But there you go. We are where we are.
And it's all going to come to fruition this season, in my opinion. Anyway, mate, your best Arsenal goalkeeper?
When I was a kid, I saw Pat Jennings play for Arsenal, right? He came to us from Spurs. I thought he was superb. I really did, and I didn't think I'd ever see anyone better than him. But I did. It was David Seaman. And I have to say, David Seaman's number one, but followed closely by Pat Jennings. I saw Pat.
He's right behind you, mate, on the back screen.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Pat against Norwich. Someone from Norwich, one of their players, struck a ball at the North Bank end, struck it really hard, and Pat just put his arm up like that, grabbed the ball with one hand, and he just pulled it into his chest. It was unbelievable. Yeah, just bring it down with one hand. It was incredible. And Charlie Nicholas told me many years ago that the Arsenal players used to just refer to him as God.
He was unbelievable, and such a nice man as well.
Yeah.
Absolute gentleman, that guy. Right. This one will be interesting. I want to really hear this one from you. Worst Arsenal game?
Worst performance, or the one that upset me the most?
just the worst Arsenal game you've ever seen.
Okay. Barcelona in the Champions League final. I was in a deep, deep depression after that game for about 2 months. The thing was, I've always wanted to see Arsenal win the European Cup, even from when I was little. And to be 13 minutes away from winning it and have it brutally ripped out of our grasp was heartbreaking, Jez. It scarred me. I don't think I'll ever get over it, to be honest. It was awful. Absolutely horrific. Really, I was just sitting on the edge of the bed, just crying my eyes out for hours and hours.
We were cheated. Let's be honest. Let's not muck about. We were cheated on that game.
Well, I've heard, I think it was Carl Walsh told me, that the referees come out subsequently to that game saying that he took a payment from Barcelona.
He did, yeah. He's admitted it. He's actually admitted it. 50,000 euros for that.
It's outrageous. I mean, but the thing is, it's like so long now. What can they do about it?
But don't forget, this was under the Sepp Blatter era of UEFA. They were all a bunch of bloody cheats. They were so corrupt. I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised.
It's depressing, Jez, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That this sort of thing can go on, because you'd like to think that it was all clean and this sort of stuff didn't go on, but it does. Clearly it does. I just hope it's not still going on.
Well, I've got a question. I'm going to ask you it now before I forget. Right. I want to get your theory on this one. We know a couple of years ago we were talking about the Super League. Yeah, weren't we? Talk was about a Super League. This is my theory. This is just my theory. With the new format in the Champions League, where there's no group stages anymore, it's purely and simply one game home, one game away. You don't get home and away games, right? This, to me, my theory, is purely and simply set up, right, almost to be a Super League, because all they've done is they've formatted it to make sure the top 8 teams in Europe go through. What's your view on that?
I think you're right. I think that's what will happen. I think they've done it to try and head off a breakaway European League. But I have to say, I've got very big concerns. You've probably heard me talking about it, about this business, about taking competitive games overseas. I think it's wrong, and I just think it could end up destroying the club big time. Because I know Stan Kroenke's gone on record as saying that he thinks that fans aren't paying enough for the tickets. Fans are paying nearly £100 or more nowadays to go to games. When I was a kid, it was £3.50 to get in the West Stand lower. Now look, charging people over £100. It's disgusting. And he's wanting to take games overseas. There was all that business on the Arsenal website saying those games we played against, was it Liverpool and United in the summer pre-season, and they were listing them as home games, and they were played in Los Angeles. And the ground they were playing in had all this Arsenal stuff all over the ground. That they had building work done on the ground to have Arsenal on it. And mate, I'm terrified about it because I think he wants to do it. And then my question would be, where's it going to end? are we going to end up with a situation where all the games are out there and we're in a World Super League? And he changes his name to LA Cannons because, as you well know, Jez, in American sport, they move clubs around all over the place.
Do you honestly think the Premier League FA would allow that to happen?
Well, if Arsenal resigned from the Premier League, it wouldn't matter, would it? Do you know what I mean? I think it would start off by the Premier League there being like maybe 3 or 4 games, and then it would come to the point at somewhere down the track where they would just resign from the Premier League and play in a World Super League. And that's what concerns me about it, man. I just think it would be the thin end of the wedge, because I think this whole thing about the European Super League was a tester to see what they could get away with. I'm very concerned about it, especially when you've got FIFA having meetings about, talking about the feasibility of having these games played overseas, competitive games played overseas. You've got politicians talking about it. The Football Supporters Association coming out, tweeting about it and having a go at the London mayor, like saying about how he backs the idea and whatnot. If people of that stature are talking about it, then must be something going on, and it terrifies me, Jez. It really does.
I just think it'd be a very difficult thing to get over the line with currently 20 years' time, maybe. Can't see it happening anytime soon.
See, the thing is, Jez, I remember years ago, my local team, Maidstone United, right? They were trying to get back to Maidstone because they were playing in Dartford. They had a ground lined up. They had to get planning permission for it. That got denied. They ended up going out of business, but they wanted to restart the club, and the owner wanted to take them up to Newcastle and play their games there, but they were going to be called Newcastle Browns. But the FA refused to allow them to do it because they said you have to play within your own locality. So that's why I don't think that the FA would allow them to take the club and move it over to America, lock, stock and barrel.
I don't think the fans would allow it, mate.
I hope not. You know what our fans are bloody like.
I can't see it. I just cannot see it. There'd be an absolute riot on that one. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Your worst Arsenal player?
Oh God, I was dreading you were going to ask me this because it's so difficult. We've had some absolute shockers, haven't we? That I think I'll have to go with that Scolacci fella.
Scolacci, oh geez.
Yeah, I remember that game. Was it away against a team from Belgrade? What were they called? Not Red Star. The other team.
Oh,
I can't remember. They're playing black and white stripes, but he was shocking, absolutely shocking.
What about Shamak, the great number 9? Do you remember him?
I mean, Arsenal really wanted him really badly, didn't they? When he came, he started off okay, but I've heard rumours about why it all went wrong for him. Something to do with his family.
It was terrible.
Yeah, but no, Scolacci was worse. We had a few stinkers.
We've bought some absolute crap.
Yeah.
Yosing Park
was another one.
Terrible. Yosing Park, remember him?
Yeah. How did he ever actually play for us?
Yeah, he did. Shocking player.
That
Oh.
Japanese lad in a moto.
Oh, him and Moto. Dear God, yeah. Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Glenn Helder.
Glenn held broken back as well.
Exactly that one. That was
Yeah.
shocking.
Deary, deary, deary.
Yeah.
But we're wrapping it up here because, mate, I want to get your opinion. You've been to both. Highbury or the Emirates, which is the better stadium for you?
Highbury. No question about it.
Mm.
All right, mate, I used to go home from Highbury back in the day, in the 80s, having no voice. Like, it was a regular occurrence. No, I absolutely loved it. I loved all the smells, like the cigarettes, the cigars, people standing there with pints of lager or bitter or whatever it was. See that back of that? If everyone can see behind me, along that wall at the back of the North Bank, there's like a little dark area behind the pillar. In there, you used to be able to walk in there, and there used to be a bar in the back of there selling food and drink. Do you remember that, Jez?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. People would be standing on the North Bank with beers and eating burgers and
Pissing,
huh?
having a piss.
Exactly. And people being pissed on there, and it was just amazing. And when it was packed as well, the bloody crowd swaying about, and there was like a good camaraderie between the fans as well.
You remember the days when it was proper terracing, and in a game, at the end of the game, right down in the front, just behind you, right, where's the gully, right? Like that'd be full of piss because people would stand there just have a piss, and it'd run down the terrace. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I do remember it.
It was so packed you couldn't get out to get to the loos in the entrances that you're talking about, run behind your left shoulder and the other one, right? That's where the bogs were, and people just stand and have a piss on the floor.
Exactly. It was incredible. I loved it, Jez.
I didn't love that.
No, I don't like. I didn't love all the pissing, but I just loved the atmosphere, and I don't agree with this thing about this library business because I never ever remember it being deathly quiet at games.
No, that was Chelsea came up with that, the Highbury Library. Yeah. And I can tell you many a time, and right? I don't know if you've ever been to Chelsea away. They're not exactly the most vocal team in the world. You know what I'm saying? So
I never went to Chelsea.
Yeah, they came up with that bullshit about the Highbury Library, and yeah, I mean they weren't exactly the biggest, loudest club in the world. They can go do one as well for that, mate. Anything else you want to add in?
Just like going away, watching Arsenal, seeing Arsenal win away, especially at Spurs, was beautiful. I loved it. That night in the League Cup semi-final replay will always stand out in my mind. Didn't like that chanting about the German prisoner of war camp during the game, but the rest of it was superb. The atmosphere was like nothing I could ever remember. It was brilliant, and the performance, like come back like that and win, was just amazing. There's been some great memories down the years, things I'll always hold dear to my heart. As you well know, Jez, I'm not happy with the way the club's moving.
No.
In fact, I'm sick of it, mate. Loads of my mates who I've went with, used to go with, they've all walked away from the club, and it just really saddens me. It really does. It's not the club that I grew up supporting. And I'm sick of it, mate. I really am. But
I agree. Mate, I'm the same with you. You know, I've got mates that still live literally round Highbury, and they don't go anymore because they're sick of the place. Good question here. From Matty, the Southern Gooner. Big up, Matty. Yo, Warren Jez, favourite Arsenal kit?
the one I've got on.
The 71 kit.
Yeah. They had this kit or a slight variation on it all the way through the 70s.
Oh. Okay. For me, I've got two. The yellow and blue 71 Cup final shirt, which I have still got. Don't fit me no more because how old was I then? I was 10. So it don't fit me. I've still got it though. The other one is the Bruised Banana 91 kit. In the drawer there, I've still got my original that my wife bought me for my birthday. So that's special shirt. It's a bit faded now. Well, the badges are a bit faded, but that's my probably favourite. Home kit shirt. Favourite home kit shirt is got to be probably the Burgundy O2 kit.
I like that one too. It's a nice one. I just have to say my favourite manager was George.
Yeah. Why that man has not got a statue, Warren, I think it's a bloody disgrace.
I do too. I'm disgusted by it. And if that clown who's managing the team at the moment gets one before him, I'm going to go ballistic.
Well, you go out there and take a hammer to it, wouldn't you?
Exactly. The only reason I'm not saying Herbert Chapman is because I wasn't around to see him, but he was incredible. He's the one that started it all off, Jez, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he won. You know, the club. I know he wasn't there for the whole period, but Arsenal won in the 30s 3 league titles in a row, and there's only a handful of clubs have ever managed to do that.
I can name them. Preston North End. Sorry, beg your pardon. Huddersfield Town, Arsenal, Man City.
Liverpool did it as well, didn't they, or not? Man United have done it twice.
They've done it twice, and Liverpool done it once. So
exactly.
Ain't many teams have done it, man. There's not many teams have done it.
No, exactly. And
you know, I mean, I know everybody says, you go back in history, you talk about history. It don't matter. It's the history's there. You can never get rid of.
If you're a proper football fan and you're a proper Arsenal fan, then you want to talk about the history. That's my opinion about it. I don't buy this thing. I don't like it when these people disrespect the club's history.
Yeah, they're all little muppets, man, that haven't got a clue. Don't know what they're talking about. They're just the one-off fans. I'll just ignore them. Mate, Warren, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, man.
I hope you'll come back on the channel again soon. It's been way too long.
Yes, mate. I'd love to.
And what you got coming up on your channel anytime soon, please?
I'm doing something with Kyle on Monday. Remember that we did that Desert Island thing that you and I did and Kenny did?
Oh, yes.
I'm going to do his with him. I'm going to record it on Monday and it'll probably be out on Tuesday next week. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm going to try and start bringing back my Saturday show as well because I used to enjoy doing that.
Oh, what the all the football scores and all that.
Yeah, it was like my version of the Soccer Saturday thing.
Well, it's a bit like the old grandstand, isn't it? The old,
exactly.
Right, what you have is an old telly printer at the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I used to enjoy doing it. It was good fun. So hopefully I'll get that up and running again soon. So
But the international breaks don't help. I think they're a pain in the arse, personally. That's why I've done this little journey show. Because I just balls the shit out of me international football.
would you ever consider doing it for other teams' fans? Like, I don't know, I mean, like getting on I don't know, Derby County fan talking about their experiences or stuff like that.
I don't know enough about their clubs,
Right.
you know. And I somebody else asked me was it you asked me that yesterday? I don't know. I don't know enough about their clubs, to be honest, and I don't know enough. I mean, I could possibly do it with the Yeti because I can look that one up. But the fact is, I don't know many opposition fans on YouTube. To be fair, I don't, and so
John Sinclair would be a good one to do.
Oh yeah, John, yeah, Newcastle, yeah, I could do that. But I do that in a different way. I think that. But, yeah, it is. But I've got to rearrange doing Darren Sullivan's one because he had unfortunately bail at the last minute. So I'll get maybe tomorrow. I don't know. So sorry, I'll just do this comment. Henry says, "Hi Matty, some gooner. You got any shows coming up soon?" Margaret Thatcher, Warren, when are you doing the tribute video on your channel for this?
I know who this fella is, Jez. I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer.
Yeah, fair enough. Matty's doing a USA Mexico watch along.
That'd be interesting. I bet Trump won't be watching that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, Warren. Thank you for joining me.
No, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it, mate.
It's great to get your insight as a proper Arsenal fan, true Arsenal. I class you as true Arsenal, unlike the plastics that are out there. Even though we do get called plastics, mate. There you go.
The thing is that there's a lot of them, Jez, and that's part of it that annoys me because I think they're a problem. I do think they're a massive problem.
Yeah, they are the problem.
But still, they are what they are.
That's another journey for another day, my friend.
Exactly. Well, it's lovely talking to you, mate, and thank you so much for letting me do this with you.
AFC always says, just wondering why I'm not a moderator on your channel. Well, I can make you one, mate. I just got to find your channel, your link. Sometimes it doesn't always doesn't happen. I can't find. I put your name in and it don't come up with who you are. I've had this before. King Mikkel, trust the process, Warren.
Yeah, right.
Henry Gooner says, Matty the Sun Gooner, it's the Pox versus match as US manager, USA.
Is he at USA now?
Yeah, he's the manager.
I want to ask you, get your opinion about something. Do you think that Steve McLaren will end up having a Jamaican accent when he's been there a while? That's what like he did when he was in Holland.
I don't get that. I was a moderator. Now I'm not. That's why I don't know what's happened there. You were a moderator and now you're not. Okay, I'll look at it, mate. I'll have a look. At that. I don't know why. If you were and you aren't, I've no idea. But leave it with me, man. What's this? Good matter. YouTube mess. Yeah, it does happen. I've had it before. The Southern Gooner, Matt, big up. And we've got Wurzel Herbert. Get on the Sunday night takeaway show, Mr. Warren. Yeah, you'd be great on there. You'd be great on there, man. Anyway, oh Christ. Always at the end, the chat's coming. Hendon Gooner, Jez at Arsenal Hismore. When McLaren was manager of the Dutch team, he started to speak with a Dutch accent. Did he? Did he?
That's why I was asking you whether you thought he'd end up with a Jamaican one. I think he was managing 20 on Enschede.
Right, we're out of here, people. I'm going to do the outro. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Warren, you've been a legend, as always. And we're out. And take care, everyone. Nice one, mate.